The Falx was a sword used by Thracian and Dacian barbarians during the time of the Roman Empire. The variety of swords were extremely unique in their designs, with the blade being on the reverse of the curve. The weapon was most famously used during Trajan's wars in Dacia, where the weapon was highly effective against the Roman legionaries, leading to on-campaign changes in their equipment. The Falx had a variety of designs and variants. The main variant had a strong curve, curving away from the holder, with a blade on the reverse of the curve like a sickle. The hilt was often constructed in a similar fashion to knives, with a tang that was as wide as the handle and 3 pins that went through the handle and tang. Most were constructed like swords, however, with a hidden tang that was longer than the handle, with the end of it being peened, a process where the end of the tang is beaten with a hammer to widen it, locking the handle in place. The handle length varied between one-handed and two-handed, some of which would have a rib in the middle, allowing for two-handed falxes to be used with one hand. The seeker was a shorter version, sometimes being as short as a dagger. The seeker usually had a harder curve than the regular falx, and was designed by the Romans to be used by their Falx class of gladiators, made to be a derogatory version of the Thracian soldiers. The rhomphania was a longer version of the falx, sometimes being the same length as a polearm. The blade usually had a smaller curve than the falx, sometimes completely removing the curve, and was between 60 and 80 centimeters long. In 101, after a few failed expeditions into Dacia to combat their raids, Emperor Trajan gained the blessing of the Senate to lead an invasion into Dacia. 2 armies were sent into Dacia to fight a two-fronted war. Both of these armies, along their way, burnt down any villages they came upon. Trajan defeated a Dacian army at the second Battle of Tepai, the first battle having been fought over a decade ago during Domitian's invasion of Dacia. Following this victory, Trajan marched on the Dacian city of Sarmizegetusa. Seeing this, the Dacians decided to surrender to the Romans. In their peace agreements, it was agreed that there would be a governor and a Roman garrison in Sarmizegetusa. A bridge was constructed across the Danube that would later be known as Trajan's Bridge, specifically built to help Roman legionaries invade Dacia if they were to go to war again. After only a few years, in 105, Trajan invaded Dacia again, as the Dacians had been inciting revolts among the other tribes living under Rome. The second war proved costly for Rome, and they failed to win a decisive victory, leading to a temporary peace which couldn't last. And Rome invaded once more, this time prevailing. They took a series of fortresses around Sarmizegetusa, and then, in the summer of 106, they attacked. The initial attack of the city failed, so the Romans destroyed the city's water pipes. The city soon fell and was razed by Roman soldiers. The Dacian king attempted to escape but was chased down by Roman cavalry. It was during these 2 wars that the Romans encountered the Falx. The Falx proved highly effective against the Romans. The Falx had a very strong cut and was made specifically for cutting, unlike the Roman gladius, which was almost exclusively used for thrusts. The cut of the Falx and rhomphania were so effective against the Romans, mainly against their arms and heads, that the Romans had to make changes to their armor while still on campaign. The main change was to their helmets. The Romans had to add a reinforcing bar on the forehead of the helmet to prevent the Falx from being able to destroy the helmet. It's obvious that these changes were made on the fly, while the Romans were still fighting in Dacia due to the roughness of the addition, showing that it was added after the helmet had been built. Another addition was the use of a piece of armor known as a manica. The manica was a piece of arm protection, a variety of metal plates interlocked over straps of leather. They would wear one on their right arm, protecting it from Dacian attacks whenever the legionary thrusted. Manicas were usually only used by gladiators due to their limited use purposes, and wouldn't be used by Roman legionaries again after the war. The Falx was a highly effective weapon used against the Romans during their campaigns in Dacia. It had a strong cut and could easily sever limbs in the hands of a skilled swordsman. It had its own problems, namely the fact that it would be difficult to use unless you were well trained in it.